Hello, good morning, good evening, depending on where you are. My name is Roman. I'm a generalist UX designer. I'm currently employed by the Co-op in the UK, and I'm part of the legal services team. I'm also an accessibility advocate, and I've developed and I'm currently running the accessibility benchmarking program of work, and this is what I'm here to talk to you about today. So before we start, I want to give you an exact summary of this short talk to help you understand the context behind it. So what's this talk about? It's a case study about the Co-op process for benchmarking accessibility. It's a process that happens across multiple teams, working on different products and in different practice areas. We test our products with people with disabilities, and we gather test metrics using a 5-steps process that we designed. We have an accessibility dashboard that we've done in Miro and that we use to keep track of progress, all the work we've got in flight, and everything that's related to accessibility, and each product team has their own dashboard. And also we use Fable to help us find testers, but also for training and upskilling our team. So in terms of who I think this talk is for, I think this talk is for you if you want or need to manage accessibility across different work streams, track the impact of accessibility work over time, report on accessibility to stakeholders, create a systematic way of working on accessibility, improve visibility and transparency around accessibility work, and galvanize teams around the subject matter. So let's have a quick look at the agenda for this talk. So first I'm going to give you a bit of context by introducing the cooperative group and the Co-op digital team. Then I'll give you some background as to why we benchmark accessibility at the Co-op. I'll show you the accessibility dashboard. We'll discuss the process we use and the metrics we record. I'll finish with some lessons learned, and then we'll wrap up with 5 or 10 minutes of Q&A. So just a bit of intro. So for those who don't know, the cooperative group or the Co-op, it's based in the UK. It's primarily known as a food retailer. There are 7,000 locations, all in the UK. And currently we have about 65,000 employees and 4.5 million active members. But as well as a retail, we also do legal services. That's my team. We do insurance and funeral care. And within the Co-op, we've got a team called the Co-op Digital that looks after all the digital products. So that's 70 colleagues, 5 different product teams, and all the teams are committed to delivering accessible digital products. And to guide our efforts, we have an accessibility champion network that provides training and support when needed. So why did we start benchmarking accessibility at the Co-op? So we did some research and we found that when it comes to accessibility, we have the following problems. There's no way of tracking how teams are doing. There's no accountability. There's no baseline for measuring progress over time. There's no product metrics across the different product portfolios. And there's no way for stakeholders to track accessibility progress. So we had to think, and we just came to the conclusion that basically we need a dashboard to demonstrate the impact and measure the progress of the work we do across all the channels. Okay, so that's fine. Let's go and investigate building a dashboard. How do we go about it? So I started talking to a few influential folks at the Co-op, and quickly it transpired that there was essentially no budget to buy anything off the shelves, and there wasn't much engineering times available. So whatever we've got or whatever we do is going to have to be built by me. It's going to have to be manually updated, and the process will have to be very easy to repeat. The product teams are really busy, so whatever we do needs to offer the benefits we've identified, but also keep the effort as low as possible. And it needs to be easy to understand at all levels, including stakeholders and execs, because it's a communication tool. So looking at my options, I decided to try to do it in Miro. I made that choice because of the 4 reasons on that slide. So number 1, everyone at the co-op has it and everyone can use it. It's easy to update, easy to share. Importantly, there's no red tape to go through in terms of compliance or procuring a new piece of kit, because that could have taken months just to get started. So yeah, just starting with Miro would allow me to just build a proof of concept really quickly, test it on the ground, and just decide whether or not the results and the benefits we got are worth pursuing. And also it's got some fairly interesting features built in already that we could use. Before we carry on, I'm going to show you the Miro dashboard. And I thought to talk to you about the process, but I think it's important to talk about Fable, our strategic partner at this stage, so you understand the rest of the presentation a bit better. So I'm not sure how many of you know Fable. I know they're a sponsor here today, but just in case you've not heard of them, if you go on their website, there's this summary of what they do. They say Fable is an online platform where digital teams can engage people with disabilities in research and on-demand user testing. So this is, close to perfect summary of what they do. Yeah, it's really good. But on top of that, they also help us with training and upskilling our product teams by doing live sessions on demand. They can help us understand the findings we get from the tests. They help us with the technical aspect of accessibility. And also the way we are set up with them at the minute is that we can set up calls as and when we need, depending on the problems we've got, and just talk to Fables. So this has proven to be really useful when our developers work on accessibility issues and they get stuck, so they can get on a live call with Fable and work together to sort out this problem. So that's Fable. Now let's have a look at the accessibility dashboard, and then we'll talk about the process, and I'll show you how we get the data and the metrics that go in the dashboard. So just before we show you the dashboard, this is just a note for people who wish to have a look at that Miro dashboard after the conference. So because it's in Miro, Miro is known for not being great for accessibility, ironically. It doesn't really work too well with screen readers. So what I've done is, in that Miro board, you will find an audio commentary of the main features, should you need it. Also, the board can be accessed after the conference, but the link is there. That Miro dashboard link. Just click on that, and it's password protected. Magnify 2023. So at that stage, I'm gonna do a bit of acrobatics. I'm going to try to switch. Oh, I knew it wasn't going to go well. Switch from between PowerPoint and that dashboard. So let's see what happens. No, that's not this one. Oh, not this one either. Sorry, bear with me. Where is it? There it is. Okay, so that seems to be going okay. So this is the the Miro dashboard that we use at the co-op. I hope you can see. Right. So what I'm gonna do is, well, as you can see, you know, there's like multiple frames, and I'm gonna show you like the key features, and then you can have a look in your own time. So sorry, yeah, okay, let's start from the top. So top of the dashboard, that's the main page, the landing page. So this is the bit that we call the work summary. It's an up-to-date overview of the accessibility work the team has going on. You'll see things like number of items on the backlog, number of tickets in your sprint, and the number of tickets completed since the start of the cycle. At this stage, it's probably worth noting that we operate in a very loose 3-month cycles, but we'll talk about that a bit more later. So scrolling down that page, now we're looking at the numbers, the metrics that we capture. And what these metrics are essentially is like a snapshot of the last time we performed the test. So what you have here, you know, well, I'm not going to have much time to go into the metrics in details, but there are links explaining what the metrics are. But yeah, essentially, so, you know, we've got something called O scores, which you can find more about it late in the presentations. We capture the number of issues we spotted during the test. We track the completion rate, so, you know, out of like say 5 testers, how many managed to like complete like the task that we set them, and in that case it's 5 out of 5. And we also track Lighthouse scores. We also there's more metrics. So for instance, you know, there's metrics for accessibility, ease of use, and recommendations. But again, you can find out a lot more on that later. And here we've got something that, again, O score, so it's like it's an accessibility metric. And, you know, we test with different assistive technology like screen readers, magnifiers, and alternative navigations. And in that case, you can see that the flow that we tested did okay in terms of alternative navigations and screen magnifications, but like kind of not so good in terms of screen readers. And if you know that, an average kind of mark of like 55 is the equivalent of like a school grade D, this is probably not good enough for like a team like ours. So that graph is useful because it shows us where we need to focus our effort. So yeah, that's the metrics. What we also capture is this, and this is called, we call it bench trending. It's a collection of graphs showing performance over time for a range of key metrics like accessibility, ease of use, recommendations, and like the O score, which we'll talk about later. So here, for instance, you can see that that team or that product scored like 64 out of 100 in the first quarter, and worked on some accessibility issue and brought that score to 93, which is really good. Another thing that we use on the dashboard, well, we've got this. This is called the board of responsibilities. And this is where we keep track of who needs to do what in order to keep the process going and keep the momentum. So without this, self-management would be difficult. So we agree on who does what at the beginning of each 3-month cycle, and then we rotate if we want to. What else? So we've got this as well. This is the audit summary. So when we run tests, the outcome of the test is usually, well, it can be either like a list of issues or like video recordings of like the actual test. And if that's the case, the process is to go through every videos and try to like summarize like each issue into like one of like these little cards. So you get like a summary of the issue, because it's video its videos, what we can do is we can create little snippets of the videos demonstrating the problem. So it's really good when you pass that on to devs, because they can see it firsthand. You just click on this and it's going to bring up the video of the tester just struggling with your product, really bringing the problem to life. And we also use this kind of tagging mechanism, if you like. So when we encounter a problem, we've got a system of 4 different types of flags, which I'll show you later. But for instance, this specific issue was tagged as a problem that confuses the user, but also blocks the user from carrying on. And also what we do with the team is we prioritize each issue using this matrix. So on your X axis, you get the effort you would take to fix against the user stress level on the y-axis, and we get together as a team and kind of move that little dot in one of the quadrants or the quarter of that matrix, and that helps us prioritize our backlog of accessibility issues. And talking about backlog, we also have like a Kanban. So once we've gone through prioritization, then we move all these items into the backlog. They're prioritized, and then it's the kind of Kanban that you'd expect. It's got to do, in progress, blocked, and done. Also, for teams that use Jira, this Miro Kanban can also be moved or transported to your Jira backlog as well, which is useful. So yeah, that's the dashboard ready for you. There's probably more I could talk about, but we've only got 20 minutes, so by all means feel free to go and have a look for yourself. So let's go back to the slides, shall we? So let me just do a bit more acrobatics. Okay. Yeah, so that's, like I said, that's the links to some of the metrics that you might want to find out more, including the accessibility, usability scale. I definitely recommend you have a look at that. Compatibility test and the Lighthouse accessibility audit. Okay, so there's all, yeah, again, sorry, I forgot about this. There's 2 slides here that actually talk about OARS scoring. And this is, we talked about already in the presentation, but yeah, have a look in your own time. So now let's talk about the benchmarking process. So the process, after a bit of back and forth, we've landed on a 5 steps process, which is illustrated here on this slide as a kind of horizontal timeline. So it's the 5 steps are kind of repeated loosely in a 3-month cycle, depending on how busy the team is. And yeah, we tend to play it by ear. If we find that after 3 months we need more time, then 4 months is fine as well. Yeah, so the steps, which we'll cover in more details after. So first, step 1, we pick a target. Step 2, we establish the baseline. Step 3, we make recommendations. Step 5, we decide which recommendations to focus on. And step 5, we review the progress and plan for the next cycle. So let's have a look at this in more details. So step 1, which we call picking the target. So first step in this process, we decide what aspect of the digital product we want to test. Because we are doing manual testing, it would be impossible, to test entire websites or apps. So we decide to focus on the key journeys and the key flows, the one that will have the biggest impact, the one that would bring the most value to the user and the business. So that's step 1. In step 2, we run a mixture of manual and automated testing. So for automated tests, we use Google Lighthouse. That gives us a percentage score based on predefined accessibility criteria. There's a link to Lighthouse in one of the previous slides if you don't know what it is. And we do manual testing with Fable testers using different types of assistive technologies. And there's 2 links here going to an article on self-guided tests and compatibility tests on the Fable website. Step 3. So that's when we look at the test results. And the test results, they take the form of like a list of issues or video recordings like we talked about before. And this is where we get all the accessibility metrics that we put in the dashboard. We review the finding, document all the issues on the Miro dashboard, and then we prioritize the issues like we talked about before. I'm kind of running out of time, but this is the prioritization scale we use. So like the highest importance is prevents, then is something that blocks, something that confuses, and something that frustrates the users. Step 4, so by the time we get to step 4, we have prioritized the list of accessibility issues in Miro, and then we sit down with the wider team, and usually that's product and delivery people, but also designers and engineers, and we discuss the finding. We record the issues in the Kanban or Jira if the team uses Jira, and then we keep in touch with the team regularly to make sure we keep the momentum going when it comes to fixing these issues. And the final step of the process, that's where we measure the progress we've made in the last 3 months. And we do this by running the same test again. After we've run the test, we compare the new score to the old score to the baseline metrics. And that's where you get these graphs like showing you progression over time. So we record everything in the dashboard again. We count the tickets that we've done, the new tickets we've created, and then we start like another 3-month cycle. If there's still item left in the backlog, that's going to be part of the new cycle, and the new issues or recommendations we found during the latest tests. So, what have we learned? So this is number 1. I think that's the most important thing I've learned, is that depending on the size of your team, managing all this work can be a full-time job, and doing it side of the desk like I was is not necessarily going to be an option. So unless you can have a dedicated person to do that role in your organization, I think your best chance would be to try to like delegate the responsibilities to the product team. So my approach has been to run one cycle of the process, being really hands-on, being part of that team, introducing the process and making introduction with Fable, and then for the second cycle, try to remove myself as much as possible and let the team run the process. So of course the benefits of that is I get my time back for my day job. And also over time it means the team will become self-sufficient and create their own accessibility work. There's a few more here, so I'll go through them quickly. So one thing I've learned as well is, when we started, we had a tendency to create large tickets, and people found them scary, and they would always end up at the bottom of the backlog and never get done. So break down big tickets into stuff that's achievable. Also, making accessibility part of your OKRs is going to help it get prioritized. So yeah, try to do that if you can. Crucial is running regular retros, praise the achievement and celebrate the success on public channels and with stakeholders, and that tends to keep the momentum going. And it's good to have the right kind of eyes and the right kind of people looking at this, because it's encouraging, and again it it makes everything really, really dynamic, and people are really motivated. This goes without saying, so make sure it's not just designers working on this. Engineers need to be involved from the start. They need to feel a sense of ownership over this. Create direct channels between the teams and Fable. So Fables, that might not apply to you, but for us, it's good for our developers to be able to get in touch direct with Fable without going through a third party like me or someone else. Talk about the results and share the learnings with the other teams, so that way a mistake is not repeated, and you solve a problem once and it's solved for the entire co-op. Try to make allies in each team, someone that instead of talking to like the entire team. If you've got like a couple of allies, then you can like nudge these people if you feel that the process has not got like the right pace, if you like. And momentum is crucial, so don't leave it too long between touch points, because from my experience that the process might just come to a halt and like the work slip between the cracks. So just keep the momentum by like being in touch and like nudging people gently. It's kind of soft, like relationship nurturing kind of activity. But yeah, I think keeping momentum is crucial. And here, this is the last slide. I've got a couple of like people who commented on Slack about the process, and there's a couple of like examples that I want to highlight. So for instance, Oliver here said accessibility work can sometimes feel a bit abstract. Having real-world examples of issues and proposed solutions really help to bring things to life. And he's talking about like the Fable videos that we get when we test. And I think I'm running out of time, so please feel free to just like read these comments. You might find them interesting and useful. And now, yeah, thank you for your time, and I'm happy to take any questions now or by emails, and my email is just there. Thank you.